Hi, I'm Chirantan BK. If you are also one of those persons who are not able to sleep at night before an upcoming test or an exam, then you are at the right place. I myself have experienced and experimented with different techniques and methods to fall asleep at night, and I'm sure that one of the methods that I will speak in this video is going to work for you. To give you guys a bit of context, this problem started when I was in class 11th. Basically, what happens in class 11th, if you are in SRG, then in the months of November and December, we would have our weekly SRG test on every Wednesday, if I remember correctly. The test would start at 8 am, and because if the test starts at 8 am, we would have to wake up at 6 am at least, and in the evenings, we would have our classes. So, because of all these things, I had built up so much stress, and because of that stress these problems arose. At night I remember it 2 am or 3 am, I wouldn't sleep even till 2 or 3 am. Sometimes I wouldn't even sleep till 4 am. So it was that problematic. Like, think about it, you have your test the next day and you are not able to sleep. The stress builds every minute, every single minute the stress increases, so anxiety kicks in very hard. That was my experience, and this actually continued, and though I found some methods and solutions to these which I will talk later on in the video. Let's begin. This problem has many reasons. First is anxiety, second is sleep schedule, and third is sleeping environment. So I'll just brief over through every one of these points. First of all is anxiety. Whenever we are in a conflict, our brain has three modes to switch into: fight, flight, and freeze. So if we have our test the next day, at night our brain switches into fight mode. It overthinks, it thinks too deeply and too highly of tomorrow's exam, like it will decide our future, blah blah. What you have to do is, we have to switch that fight mode into flight mode. You just have to calm yourself. You can say that quote like, single piece of paper cannot decide our future. So these are, I'll talk about the solutions to decrease your anxiety later on, but anxiety is the biggest issue of all these three. Like, if you tackle anxiety, then these point 2 and point 3 are not that big of a problem. Talking about sleep schedule, I have my friend who got AIR 867. I won't take his name, but the thing with him was that he never experienced this problem. Like, not in his life. I think he might have experienced this in his final JEE, but except the final JEE exam, he never experienced it. That's because he had a fixed sleeping schedule. Sleep at 10, wake up at 5. That was his fixed schedule for a long time, and because of that, he never experienced this problem. But the problem with this, fixing a sleep schedule, is that some people are morning person and some people are night person. Their brains are active at morning and night respectively. So morning persons don't have much of a problem. Their mind is awake in the morning and active in the morning, and exams usually happen in the morning. But the person who is a night person, whose mind is active in the night, he'll just overthink about the exam and he wouldn't get that much sleep as the morning person gets. So what he has to do is, he just has to shift his, the night person, whoever he or she is, has to shift his sleeping schedule, like slowly. Let's say he wakes up, or he or she wakes up at 8. So first he or she has to shift it to 7:30, then 7. Slowly they have to shift it to 6. Like, sleep at 11, wake up at 6. That's the simplest sleeping schedule I could have heard about, and that's what I followed. Though the night persons do have a problem, and they have a much bigger problem, and more night persons will have this problem than morning persons. Talking about sleeping environment also matters a lot. Let's say, for example, the temperature. If it is too hot, you can't sleep. You have to turn on the AC or fan. So the blankets and pillows, the bed size, these things, they don't matter much, but yes, they do matter, especially the blankets. If you have a thick blanket, you will just feel hot in that blanket. And let's say winters, I had that problem, in November, December, I'm in Jaipur, so we have extreme winters, and I used to wear a thick blanket. So the problem would be whenever I would cover myself with blanket, I would feel hot. Then whenever I would take out the blanket, I would feel cold. So I wouldn't be able to sleep properly. These are basically the reasons. Let's move on to the solutions. I have talked about sleep schedule and the solutions to sleeping schedule and sleeping environment. Just shift your sleeping time 15 minutes earlier, then 30 minutes earlier. Slowly you will fix your sleeping schedule. And the sleeping environment just at least have the right temperature while you're sleeping. It should not be too hot or too cold while you're sleeping. Now, talking about anxiety. Now, see, anxiety is quite personal. I believe everybody has everyone has their own way of reducing anxiety. So you have to experiment a bit. What I did was I used to read Bhagavad Gita, a page or two of Bhagavad Gita, to reduce my anxiety, and it did a great job. You could also read a book, whichever you like, or could go on a walk, talk to your friends and families, hug your loved ones. These all things reduce our anxiety. So try to experiment a bit, and I believe you will find your way of reducing anxiety. And if you just sleep, try to fix these three things: anxiety, sleeping schedule, and the sleeping environment, you won't have this problem ever again. So that's all I have for today. Thank you for watching.